You know what's funny is for as long as I can remember, I would always hear whenever a person that was not of color or a person that was not black, whenever they wanted to try to degrade me or make me feel less than, they would love to throw that, oh, you guys always have your hand out, you guys are always, y'all get public assistance, and the government is not your baby daddy, and we're not your baby daddy, and that's that and the third, right? And I've been on public assistance plenty of times as far as needing help. I live in California, it's expensive. My children definitely have state insurance because insurance is high as giraffe's coochie. But it's funny because growing up, I wished my parents had the county. Like, my father made just enough money to pay his mortgage and feed us. Any extras that I wanted, I started making my own money when I was about 11 or 12. Was when I started, I was babysitting, I was doing hair, because every time I would ask my dad for something, he would always tell me that, oh, I just paid the mortgage, I don't have it. Oh, I just paid the water bill, I don't have it. Oh, I had to fix this on the car, I don't have it. Oh, your brother or your sister or whatever needed this and this and this and this, I don't have it. Right? And there were some people that I did grow up around of the clear variety, and they were more impoverished than we were. I had one friend, I don't remember her name right now, but she was my favorite friend. And my dad, we lived in this upper middle class neighborhood. My dad had a 5-bedroom, 2-story house. We drove a Chevy Suburban. My dad was an electrician and he was a mechanic on the side. And this one particular friend, she was on my cheer squad. And I begged and begged and begged and begged and begged. She wanted me to come to her house. I begged and begged to come to her house. And she lived in a trailer. And that was my first experience. And I didn't feel out of place or nothing. This was my friend. But I can't even remember what kind of car they had. But I know it wasn't as nice as my dad's car. She slept on a day bed in the living room. Her parents had the bedroom. And it was just them three. She didn't even have any other siblings. And they were sweet as pie. So I don't have anything negative to say about them. But I say that to say that we are literally in a country where it's just easier to make us the bad guy. It's just easier to make us look like we're the lowest of the low. And there are other races of people that could be dirt ass poor, but at least they're not black. And that's really how they look at us. And so today we're going to get into who's really on public assistance and what that means for us as black people specifically. So we're going to really get into, public assistance programs in the U.S., especially with this freeze that Trump tried to put on Medicaid. Now, he's being sued left and right now, so we'll see what goes on with that, but we're going to dive into this thing. So let's start with the biggest myth surrounding public assistance, that black people of color, particularly black people and Hispanic people, are the largest groups receiving welfare. Here's the reality, which I feel like I'm not telling you guys anything that you don't already know, but the largest racial group on public assistance programs, we're talking food stamps, Medicaid, cash aid, is actually non-Hispanic white Americans. Who's surprised? I'm not surprised. I knew this already. They knew that. They just they putting it on us because then they could be see, they ghetto, they needy, and all of that other hate they like to spew. In 2021, 37% of SNAP recipients were white. 27% were black, 22% were Hispanic. White individuals also represent the largest group using Medicaid through black and Hispanic populations, though black and Hispanic populations rely on it proportionally more because of systemic income disparities. But here's a nuance. While white Americans make up the largest group numerically, people of color are disproportionately overrepresented in relative to their share of the population. So why are we overrepresented? We're overrepresented because of systemic inequities that have existed for generations. So black and Hispanic households are more likely to experience poverty due to wage gaps, job discrimination, and lack of generational wealth. These barriers make it harder for families to cover basic needs, leading to the reliance on these public programs. Even when employed, people of color are more likely to work in low-wage industries without benefits like healthcare, making programs like Medicaid essential. Redlining, housing discrimination, and rising costs have left many Black and Hispanic families vulnerable to financial instability, increasing their reliance on programs like SNAP and TANF. These systemic issues create a cycle where people of color are forced to rely on public assistance at higher rates, not because we don't work hard, but because the system is not working for us. It's like they love to call us lazy, but you'll literally see a family where both adults in the family are both working 2 jobs, and they're still struggling to make ends meet. Let's talk about stigma. Public assistance programs are often weaponized as talking points to stereotype people of color as lazy or dependent on the government. We've all heard it. The sad part about it is, even when we're not on it, they like to throw that in our faces. These harmful narratives not only perpetuate racism, but they also distract from the truth. Public assistance helps everybody. It's not a Black or a Mexican thing or Hispanic thing. It's not a, oh, you're so raggedy, you can't do this for yourself, or oh, you're so lazy. It really helps people. Like, it's a safety net that millions of Americans rely on, regardless of their race. The majority of recipients across all racial groups use these programs temporarily to stabilize their family during difficult times. And let's talk about it. It's not even enough money like that to where people are like, oh, the government is not your baby daddy. Do you understand how much people actually get a month? It's really just enough to keep people's heads above water. It's not enough to like you're not going to have enough to buy food for the entire month. It's a supplement. It's supplemental assistance. There are people that are on public assistance and have public health care, and they still have to pay a deductible. Certain meds still cost them out of pocket. Some of you don't know, but I'm partially deaf in one ear. I do have state insurance. My hearing aid was $1,000. Medi-Cal did not pay for that. It pays for my MRIs, thank you. It does pay for me to go see the ENT and see the audiologist, but it did not pay for that $1,000 ass hearing aid. For people of color, this stigma adds to an extra level of shame and stress. It also fuels policies that make it harder for marginalized communities to access benefits, such as imposing work requirements or restricting eligibility. These policies disproportionately harm Black and Hispanic individuals who already face systemic barriers. So why do we care about these misconceptions and the way that this assistance is structured? Because it doesn't just affect people of color, it affects everyone. I want you guys to really take a look at what's been going on recently. Taking away the Affordable Care Act, taking away these DEI programs. The funny thing about it is, it came from a place of hate. It came from a place of people really acting like the only people that benefit from these programs are African American people. But when you look at DEI, white women benefit the most from DEI programs. White people benefit the most from public assistance programs, Medicaid, Medicare, all of that stuff. And it's so funny to me how these narratives get thrown around about us, right? Clearly Black people aren't lazy when you use us to build a whole entire country. Clearly Hispanics are not lazy because who's getting out every day doing the jobs that people don't want to do? Hispanics keep this country moving. And they're going to learn that when you don't have a workforce because you deported all these people. We'll get into that in another episode. But it's funny because now I'm literally seeing TikToks, and I'm going to get back to posting compilations, but YouTube was flagging my channel for that. But you get on TikTok and there's literally people boo-hoo crying that don't look like me about what are they going to do. Because now everybody's in their fuck around and find out era right now. Public assistance keeps millions of families out of extreme poverty, helping them stay afloat during job losses, health crises, or even economic downturns. When programs are stigmatized or defunded, it creates instability for entire communities. When people of color are blocked from accessing resources, it reinforces inequalities that ripple through society, from education to healthcare to the workforce. A more equitable system benefits Americans, not just marginalized groups. Benefits all Americans. Investing in public programs is one of the most effective ways to address poverty, reduce crime, and create opportunities for future generations. But we can't fix these issues if we don't address the racial inequities at the core. So how do we move forward? We need to challenge these myths. When you hear someone perpetuate stereotypes about public assistance, counter them with facts. Education is one of the most powerful tools for dismantling information, which is why a certain somebody is trying to get rid of our education system or leave it to the states. Advocate for equity. Support policies that expand access to public assistance programs, eliminate barriers like work requirements, and address systemic racism in hiring, housing, and education. Encourage people in your community to access the resources they need without shame or fear. Public assistance exists to help all of us, and there's no shame in using it. Let me tell you something. I live in a majority Asian community. Don't let anybody sit up here and tell you that it's only black people and Hispanics, because you know who be lined up at them churches for free food with their little baskets and carts? Them. And once again, this is not to shame anybody, but this is to state facts. Before we wrap up, let's remember, public assistance is not a handout, it's a lifeline. For people of color, it's often a necessary tool for survival in a system that was not designed to work for us. Let's continue to fight for a society where these programs are seen not as controversial, but as essential. That is all I have for you all today. I appreciate you all for being here. As always, if you found this helpful, please share it with somebody that needs to hear it, and please keep this conversation going. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.